This is my GON 60%, and this is a beautiful keyboard. At least I think so. I mean, look at this thing. The LEDs, them aluminum feet, the acrylic case diffusing those beautiful colors. This is one of my favorite keyboards. Let's go over this keyboard real quick. Starting with the specs, we have the case. The case is in a GON acrylic case secured by 8 screws. It has a sandwich construction of 4 layers, and this acrylic case is just amazing at diffusing the LEDs inside. Speaking of the LEDs inside, we have LEDs on the bottom that are bluish / purplish, and in the switches, they are pink LEDs. The pink LEDs are diffused even better with clear switch tops. Speaking of the switches, these are 62-gram Ergo Clears with pink LEDs, like I said, and these switches feel wonderful. A lot of people like lubed Ergo Clears. Personally, for me, I'm not a big fan of that lube game, so I like keeping them unlubed, and these Ergo Clears are just fantastic for me. One thing that a lot of people might complain about, that personally I don't, is clipped versus unclipped stabilizers. The stabilizers on this keyboard are unclipped. To some people they feel mushy, to some people they feel more resistance and a bit stronger. That's how they feel to me, and personally, I don't mind if they're clipped or not. Both unclipped and clipped stabilizers feel just fine to me. These ones are unclipped, and I've had no problems at all with these stabilizers. Let's move on to the PCB. The PCB is a GON NerD60, which is fully reprogrammable. On GON's website, he has a wonderful firmware and GUI to make it really easy to switch around the layout, just dragging or clicking a few keys here and there, as well as adjusting the LEDs to have effects such as the faster you type, the brighter it glows, or it flashes every time you press a button, or always on, always off, as well as adjusting the LEDs with controls on the keyboard. I personally love his tool and think it's probably one of the easiest to use in the whole mechanical keyboard industry. Good job on him for that. Let's move on to the keycaps. The current keycaps I'm using on this are Geek Keys black on black PBT keycaps. They have a wonderful texture to them. They have a wonderful thickness with no light shining through the keycaps, only between the keycaps, which in this case I think looks fantastic. I'm really liking it. Moving to the layout, it's mostly standard except I have a stepped caps lock and my bottom row is slightly different. Most bottom rows are 1.25, 1.25, 1.25, 6.25, and then 1.25 for the rest. On mine, my control and alt are 1.5. My Windows and menu key are 1U. And then another difference I have is I have a short shift. My short shift, the reason I have a short shift is my function key is right next to it, similar to where you'd find a function key on an HHKB, in which my function layer is similarly like an HHKB, which I actually don't mind and I enjoy quite a bit, even though my top layer is standard with caps lock being caps lock instead of swapped for control. This keyboard is wonderful. It feels really nice to me, and this is probably one of my favorite keyboards that I own in the 60% size, tied with the JIS HHKB Pro 2 Type S, which hopefully, if you're lucky, I'll have a review out eventually. The back of this keyboard is secured by 4 rubber feet, 2 on the aluminum feet and 2 on the corners closest to you. There are a plethora of LEDs adorning the bottom, which wonderfully diffuse through the case. The pink LEDs in the switches also diffuse from the top layer of the case, so you have this layered LED diffusal look with a purplish on the bottom and a pinkish on the top, all completed by a wonderful black PBT key sets. It's just wonderful. One thing that sometimes makes it difficult is its very non-standard layout, including the stepped caps, the bottom row, which does have a 7U spacebar, and the short shift. But once I find a great key set like I have here, this keyboard does phenomenal. Just phenomenal. How does this keyboard type? This keyboard types amazingly. I love how it types. These 62-gram non-lubed Ergo Clears type amazing. Possibly for some reason nicer than my 67-gram Zelios that I have on my compact SQ. Why? I don't know. I just love how this feels against the acrylic plate and the acrylic case. At one point, I actually had to sell this keyboard under financial duress, but once I obtained the funds again, I immediately repurchased it from the person I sold it to. Thank you so much to that person for letting me rebuy this keyboard, because this is a keyboard that I love dearly. I didn't build this keyboard like I have with many of my other ones. I got this keyboard when I was still very new and young into this hobby. And yeah, I did pay a pretty penny for it because I had to pay for the labor as well. But regardless, this is still one of my favorite keyboards that if I had to start cutting away at my collection, this would be one of the last keyboards to go, honestly. To a lot of people with all these fancy keyboards, all these custom keyboards nowadays, it might not seem so special. It doesn't have RGB LEDs in the bottom like with Win keyless keyboards now, or the newer GON keyboards, or many of the Korean customs coming out like my Compact XQ, the LZTKL, and various other custom keyboards coming out like the Orion Duck, and etc. etc. It doesn't have all those RGB fancy underglow. It just has the standard purple underglow and this pink LED switch tops. And you know what? That's just fine for me, because the truth is, at least for me, for RGB LEDs, is it's nice that I have all these options, but the truth is I'll just pick one option that matches with the keycaps, and that's it. But back to the typing experience. Layout for me is wonderful. I like the large control on the bottom and the small Windows key, so I don't have to worry about it possibly getting in the way, even though it's not a key that I really ever accidentally press. But I like the sizing of the bottom row, even with the very large 7U spacebar. The short shift, it doesn't bother me because I never use that shift for some reason. I only use the left shift, and the FN key is inconvenient enough space for me to press it to access my arrow keys, which once again is the same layout as HHKB, as well as my volume and media controls, which were easily configurable through GON's GUI configurator. And this is the GON 60% NerD, and I love this keyboard. Here is a typing sample. And as you heard through the typing sample, the keyboard isn't obnoxiously loud, but at the same time, it isn't ridiculously soft. The keyboard is as loud as it needs to be. Every tactile press is as tactile as it needs to be, which is wonderfully tactile. I love this keyboard. And now, I need another drink. Thanks for listening, guys.